The following was originally published in 2018, and while I stand by the critiques of The Last Jedi I make, I deeply regret any direct personal attacks I make against Rian Johnson, Kathleen Kennedy, or any other employee of Lucasfilm. Those comments were made in anger and frustration, and I will do a separate video about that after this series.
So as you know, I've been doing a lot to subvert your expectations lately. The opening crawl yesterday, the fact that I spent over half the video yesterday talking about things that had nothing to do with my review, the really crappy quality of my videos. I guess that one's not really subversion. Anyway, I was trying to think of how to subvert your expectations today, and I realized that at the beginning of all my videos, I start out with a big thank you to my supporters. So I thought that if I don't do a shout out, that would subvert your expectations for sure. So I am not going to thank them right now. Previously on the Anti-Trekker, I said that I am not going to go back to the Leia in space thing. Also, Finn and Rose, wow, I am tired. Finn and Rose learned Starfleet Technobab, and now they have a plan to turn off the hyperspace tracker, but they need to get past security. They Skype call Maz Kanata because, you know, it was cool the way she just happened to have Luke's lost lightsaber and they didn't tell us how she got it, right? That was fun, right? So this time she says, of course she could help, but she's too busy, and so they need to go find some hacker guy that we've never heard of. Oh, yeah. So rather than use a character we already know and have an emotional attachment with, we should introduce yet another new character to the film that will no doubt be as lovable and wonderful as Rose and Holdo. Subversion. Yeah. And then gives his magic one-ring friendship bracelet to Poe, for some reason. The Force, I guess. We now get to see Rey wake up in a stone house after we just saw her go to sleep on a slab outside. Is she this is just stupid. I mean, this is making my head. We see the First Order medical droid removing Kylo's cool-looking scar fillers because why not? Somehow, Kylo and Rey see each other, and Rey tries to kill Kylo. Okay, so Kylo attempts to use the Force and hold her blaster bolt like he did before. Kylo does nothing and thinks that he is shot because, well, why not? Well, I guess this really is the Force. So apparently they can see each other, but that's it. They can't have any direct interaction, right? I'm sure they're not going to break that one later. Anyway, Rey runs outside of her stone hut, and Kylo runs out into the hallway because the Force, I guess. And then they both turn around, I guess, for reasons. And now they can see each other. But couldn't they see each other a minute ago when Rey tried to shoot him and he saw it coming What? Why did they have to run outside to see each other? They could see each other when they were inside. And what Kylo tries to use the Jedi mind trick on Rey, even though it's obvious that she's not weak-minded. But whatever. He stops because he realizes how strong she is for no reason and says that she could not be doing this because the effort would kill her, because now using the Force kills you, I guess, for reasons. Okay, so they have officially broken the Force now. The Force, going back to the original Star Wars, is an energy field that those who are gifted can tap into. There is zero indication that using the Force for really, really tough level 10 stuff can kill you unless you're at least a level 8 Jedi. In fact, Yoda in Empire Strikes Back talks about the use of the Force is completely a matter of will, not physical exertion, which is why lifting a rock and lifting an X-Wing are essentially the same thing to a Jedi Master. And does Rian Johnson even understand the whole light side, dark side thing? I mean, at all?
You'll bring Luke Skywalker to me. Can you see my surroundings?
You're gonna pay for what you did.
I can't see yours. Just you. Somehow.
It is painfully obvious that Rey is angry and hostile, while Kylo is curious and inquisitive. This is the exact opposite of what we should be seeing. Subversion. Yay. So, since this is supposed to be a really intense dramatic scene, they end it with a really intense dramatic reveal. I need a drink. Hold on a minute. Ugh. Whew. So, Rey asks Luke about the pig lizard nun things, and Luke explains that they are the caretakers of this place, and they're native to this planet, and they've kept up the structures since they were built. Apparently, he left out the part where they live forever, because they would have to be tens of thousands of years old, as we see no men or children. He also neglects to mention their ninja-like behavior, since this is the first time we have seen any of them, and Rey has been on the planet for over a day, and yet the place is swarming with them. Whatever. Force lizard nuns. Luke and Rey go off to, oh, hey, a porg. Bet we can sell a bunch of those. Look, I know the porg thing, a lot of people have gone off about the porgs being just for marketing, and other people defended the porg thing saying, well, you know, Star Wars has always had a lot of marketing attached to it. And that's absolutely true, that in Star Wars there have been a lot of characters and races and ships and stuff that have been introduced and developed just for the purpose of selling toys. I'm not going to deny that one bit. But here's the difference with the porgs versus other incidents of that I can think of. With everything else that pops into my head, now granted, I could be wrong, correct me, I'm sure some of you out there will think of something, but when I think of the things out there that were pretty much for marketing purposes, for example, Boba Fett, right? Or the Jawas from the first film, or some of the other droids that we saw. A lot of that, yes, they designed and built these things for the movies just so that they could sell toys, but within the movies, they served a purpose. The Jawas in the original Star Wars actually helped move the plot forward. And yes, they were cute and adorable, and kids love to get the little Jawa action figures and stuff. And believe me, I remember when I was a kid back in the late 70s, dressing up as a Jawa for Halloween was like the ultimate. So there was definitely that aspect of it there, but the Jawas were, if you took the Jawas out of the first Star Wars film, R2-D2 and C-3PO never would have found Luke. And so the whole story would have been a non-starter. So there was a purpose to them, despite the fact that they were there mainly to sell toys. Boba Fett as stupid and silly as the concept of Boba Fett's death really is, Boba Fett actually did serve the story. I mean, without Boba Fett, Vader would not have found out that Han and Leia went to Cloud City at Empire, and we wouldn't have had his incredibly dramatic death in Return of the Jedi. So there are plot events that actually move forward because of these characters. The Porgs serve no purpose whatsoever. And the thing that makes me mad about this particular shot, more than almost any other, but actually almost every shot that the Porgs are in, I could have used as a similar example. Whenever the Porgs are on screen, suddenly the focus has to shift to them, if only for a split second. We see the Porgs the first time we see them when they're examining Luke's lightsaber. We see the whole thing with Chewie and eating the cooked porg thing. And now we see this, and you say, well, wait a minute. The porg is in the background. It's Luke and Rey walking in the foreground. That's the main subject matter of this shot, if you're thinking about shot composition and stuff. Yes, but notice that, and the reason I paused it right here where I did to get this screen grab, is that it is the porg that the camera is focused on, not Rey, who is the subject matter of this shot, which creates this subliminal feeling that the porg is somehow more important than Luke and Rey, even though the porg is really just sitting there being a commercial for porg dolls. Anyway, I'm not going to go on any further rant as far as the marketing of the porgs, and I do think the porgs are adorable, but they could have had them serve some purpose of the story other than just being there and being cute. Luke and Rey go into a large, mysterious cave with a cool mosaic on the floor. Obviously, they go outside because who cares about a large, mysterious cave, right? Subversion. Yay. Rey asks Luke again to come back because of the power and danger of Kylo Ren and the First Order. Luke realizes that he is the only one who can stop them. So they get on the Millennium Falcon, ignores her, and then just asks her what she knows about the Force.
It's a power that Jedi have that lets them control people and make things float.
Impressive. Every word in that sentence was wrong.
Wait. Everything she said was wrong? Okay, I was going to go on a bit of a rant here about, while she put it crudely, maybe you could say in an uneducated fashion, but everything Rey said was true, if incomplete. I figure really all I need to do to prove how stupid the writing is here is to demonstrate at least one thing Rey said that was demonstrably true. So to make my point, I was thinking about showing the scene where Obi-Wan talks to Luke about how the Force can be used to take control of weak-minded people, or that Yoda was actually teaching Luke how to make things float. But I figured that I would just let Luke himself prove that Luke is wrong.
You have a power I don't understand and could never have.
You're wrong, Leia. You have that power too.
It's a power that Jedi have.
You have that power too.
So they begin lesson 1 of 3, in which Luke attempts to explain to Rey what the Force is and how to feel it.
The Force is not a power you have.
It's not about lifting rocks.
It's the energy between all things, a tension, a balance that binds the universe together.
Okay. But what is it?
This is what I would call a anti-Mary Sue moment. Rey may be a bit naive, but her character was never portrayed as just being stupid. Until now. What Luke said was not that complicated, and she just looks at him like he was speaking some other language. But then it gets worse.
Close your eyes. Breathe. Now, reach out.
I feel something.
You feel it?
Yes, I feel it.
That's the Force.
Really?
Wow, it must be really strong with
Oh,
you.
I've never felt any. You meant reach out, like. I'll try again.
Remember, Rey has already used the Force successfully to do the Jedi mind trick and telekinesis, and you're trying to tell me she is this dumb? So Luke tells her to reach out with your feelings, and she does. And of course, because Rey is awesome for reasons, she feels the Force everywhere and instantly, and Luke asks her specifically what she sees. And this is interesting. She says, the island, life. death and decay, that feeds new life, warmth, cold, peace, violence, balance. This is the single worst part of what Rian Johnson did to the Star Wars mythos. It's a well-shot, well-acted, well-edited scene that just attempted to redefine the Force as to not including right, wrong, light, darkness, good, or evil. Rian is trying to take away the spiritual aspect of the Force and just making it into a natural energy, which is nothing like the living spirit that Yoda, Obi-Wan, and Qui-Gon talked about in previous films. This Force is nothing more than a form of electromagnetism, or the strong and weak nuclear forces, or gravity, except that you can do neat tricks with it. What makes it unbearably stupid, in my opinion, is that immediately after we get this naturalistic, impersonal version of the Force, we find that there is a dark Force butthole, which is under the island and apparently strong with the dark side. But then, what is the dark side? There is no clear definition of dark and light anymore. You can't base it on what we've seen in the past because Rey uses anger, fear, and aggression, as we saw earlier. Kylo actually uses the Force as a quest for knowledge, peace, and information. So what is light and dark? What is good and evil? Fuck you, Rian Johnson. Fuck you to... Sorry. So Luke tells Rey that the lesson in the Force is that the Force does not belong to the Jedi. And when have we ever seen the Jedi claim that the Force belonged to them? They simply understand the Force. It's clear that Rian Johnson does not understand how religion works. Let's compare the Force to God, since that was kind of the original intent of this whole thing anyway. Christians, Jews, Muslims, and others do not claim to have some kind of exclusive rights to God, contrary to what some of you may think. They only claim to have a superior understanding of who and what God is. And in fact, because they genuinely believe that their interpretation of who and what God is must be correct, it only makes sense to try and convince others to convert to their way of thinking for their own good. The problem is that while the intentions may be good, this creates conflict because nobody wants to simply let go of something that is as core to their being as the beliefs of what God is or what God may want. In this film, what we've basically done is replaced God with nature, which, depending on how it's written, could be fine, but if you retcon out the living Force and you replace it with a natural force that has nothing to do with alignment, you have no reason whatsoever to think that the First Order is evil or that the Resistance is good. You might say,
but wait, they used Starkiller Base to wipe out the Republic.
yes, but as we heard from Haldo, there are oppressed and downtrodden people all over the galaxy. The First Order was simply trying to liberate all those people.
But wait, Snoke seduced Kylo to the dark side.
Of course, now that we know that all Snoke really did was teach Kylo the truth, that Luke was lying to him about this whole good-evil thing.
But just look at Snoke. Clearly he's evil.
Racist. So, why is the Dark Force butthole evil? The truth is, there isn't anything about it that is evil. Even when we explore inside the dark space butthole later, there's nothing evil going on. Unlike the Dark Force tree on Dagobah, the Dark Force butthole shows no signs of being evil. Just, dark. So the dark side is now literally just not as brightly lit as the light side? Rey feels a strong calling to the Dark Force butthole, and the butthole is calling to her. Man, does everything in these films call out to Rey? I mean, the lightsaber, the tree, now the Force anus? So after Rey feels the calling of the Force anus, now I couldn't hear the Force anus calling out to Rey, but, you know, it's silent but deadly. Get it? The anus keeps calling out for Rey, and Luke warns her to stop, but the anus keeps calling, rumbling, something coming from the anus. Rocks start levitating around Rey for reasons. Luke is now terrified that Rey is going to the Dark Force butthole anus. So, wait, the Dark Side Force butthole anus sprays Rey with explosive diarrhea. And trying, based on the, based on the look on Rey's face here, I'm trying to figure out if she was horrified or if she enjoyed it. Well, Luke is definitely horrified. So, of course, he figures out that Rey went right to the dark side, and the dark side space butthole anus was literally calling out to her and spraying her down, marking her, if you will, for the dark side. Well, this changes everything. Rey was called by the dark side butthole anus, and she did not resist at all. She is more than happy to jump into the dark butthole of the Force. I can understand why Luke looks so horrified right here. He knows that he must not only stop Snoke and Kylo Ren, but Rey is literally one with the dark side itself. So, Luke,
I've seen this raw strength only once before, in Ben Solo. It didn't scare me enough then. It does now.
storms off and does nothing about it and never mentions it again. Because dark side butthole subversion. Yay.
Hit the like button, you will. Likes lead to comments. Comments lead to conversations. Conversations lead to understanding. Go to Patreon and support the anti-trucker you must, if supporting his videos you want. Yes, support his videos. Then listen to this at the end of the videos. You will not